Bitcoin is explosive, and today we bring on technical analyst expert Eric Crown, who predicted this exact move up to 45K, and he's going to tell you what the charts are saying for the next move out of Bitcoin. This is going to help you out if you've been getting FOMO and you're wondering when to start allocating to this market. This is the strategy that Eric and I have been discussing. Again, if you guys are excited for this, destroy the like button. Remember, each and every comment on this video is entered to win your own hardware wallet. And if you want more videos keeping you up to date with each and every move of the market, from Bitcoin to Ethereum to altcoins, and of course, my darling, the NFT space, then all you have to do is subscribe and put that bell notification on. The bell is critical to make sure you get around any gatekeeping, which does happen quite often here on YouTube. With that said, get excited because this is a phenomenal episode with Eric Crown. Welcome back to the channel, Mr. Eric Crown from Crown's Crypto Cave. Thank you so much for joining us once again, my friend.
It's a pleasure to be here as always. As always, my good friend, Mr. Elliott, and of course, with the community here as well.
Well, guys, if you don't know Eric, what are you doing? Go check out his channel, Crown's Crypto Cave. It's linked in the description. But for now, we're going to give you a little bit of this magic. Eric is an expert at technical analysis, and he's going to help us peer into this wild, wild chart action. Help us understand questions like, are we in full bull mode again? Should we be worried right now? What do the charts say on a purely technical level? And so I guess on that note, what's going on? Since last we spoke about a week and a half ago, we were expecting this move up to 45, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so that's kind of where we left off last. So I suppose now would be a good time to go into the old tea tree leaves here, and let's see what has happened since we last spoke. Let me just share my screen right there and let me know if it's all good.
Yep, we're coming in loud and clear.
Okay, excellent. So I suppose the big question is the low in, right? And we spoke about this, I believe, on the last video. Maybe it was a video prior to that. And all of the things that I've been looking for to confirm a macro low actually are now present on the chart. Now, of course, always comes with risk on the other side, but because we now have a nice structural base on this macro low, we can say that that area would be, to destroy this, would be about 32,000 bucks. So as long as Bitcoin's above there, I do look at this as a macro low. I do not believe that Bitcoin will be going any lower than our current daily closing low at about 29,700, it looks like. And more importantly, the biggest thing that I would like to follow up on right now is something that we spoke about kind of at length last time, and that was the hash ribbons indicator over here. I've been kind of banging on about
what is this hash ribbons indicator?
Hash ribbons, it's essentially tracking the hash rate, putting a couple moving averages on them. It's a 30 and a 60 if you want to know. Basically, the general idea is, like, the things that you need to know is that hash rate actually typically leads price action. You'll notice that hash rate absolutely plummeted a little bit before this last drop, this 50% drop from about 60 to 30,000 bucks. And right now, we do have something that is incredibly important that was confirmed actually just as of yesterday officially. I was actually confirming it myself with a few other, slight variations on this indicator a few days prior to that. And we have officially a blue buy signal right here, which,
wow, that was what we were waiting for, right?
That was the big one. So wow. That really does solidify this for myself. We also have a higher daily low as well. That would be your $38,000 tick right there. So all is good in the hood, and volatility falling through as well. So those were the three big things that I was looking for. And just, to give you a short perusal of this, I don't want to go through the whole rigmarole on this. I basically released a 40-minute long video on this over the weekend, going into much detail on this and several other reasons why I do believe that the macro low is in. But basically, anytime that we've seen a blue buy signal on this, the prior daily low to that blue buy signal being printed was the macro low before, never going lower than that ever, all 16 iterations except for one. The one being was, of course, coronavirus dump times over here, which Bitcoin actually got a pretty nice move from that low to the next high, about a 60% move from, what was it? I don't know, 7,000 to 10.5. Let me actually just measure that.
Okay, hold on. So what people need to know is that this beautiful blue gift from the gods here is essentially has never, except for the one black swan event that we've had in recent history that affected all markets, which was, of course, the initial COVID lockdowns of 2020. Now, besides that moment, this has 100% of the time predicted that the previous day's low was a price never to be revisited again.
I'd have to run that statement back just a little bit to be exact, because it's not the previous day's low, it's the prior low on the daily time frame. So
Okay,
let me
okay.
just
So
briefly explain this.
29.7 in this case would be the
Yeah, in this case, it would be 29.7. So that's why I'm saying if this holds true, which, barring any sort of black swan event, I suppose that the statistics are on its side, certainly, that we would not expect it to go below there. And I would even go as far as saying, as long as Bitcoin's above 32,000 bucks, I'm not looking for any, massive targets to the downside to be, fulfilled in any reasonable metric. So for right now, Bitcoin's looking very, very good. Obviously, Bitcoin is hitting our targets, about 45,000 bucks that we last spoke about. And it does look like it wants to continue a little bit more here. If I put on my drawing tools, I still have this 618 Fibonacci retracement right here. This is kind of, what's known as the golden ratio, the golden pocket. And this is actually a bearish retracement. So I am still looking for a little bit of turbulence anywhere within this blue box territory. That's completely fine. That's completely good. As long as Bitcoin is now above, even short term, above 41,000 bucks, which kind of think is our max downside possible this week, which doesn't even want to get tested right now, to be honest with you. I do look at this as very likely to test up to the top end of this and fulfill that next technical target, which is just below 49,000 bucks.
So if we go up there, that 618 line coming in at just under $49,000.
Correct.
That would be a normal place for even a bearish cycle to go revisit, is what you're saying. So even if we were in still a bearish movement, it would go up and kiss that and then get rejected, right?
Correct. And it's also a gap fill from the 14th of May. So these things typically do get filled. There's a whole meme that goes along with them too. So I really want to kind of step back from that. But usually when you do see a gap get filled, you can expect a bit of a pullback from that region. Not always, and not in all situations, especially with professional gaps. But in this case right here, with it also lining up with that Fibonacci retracement, I do like that area for a bit of a pullback just because. Anyways, it's also kind of a
the gap also, for those who might not be as indoctrinated here, on CME, it trades just Monday through Friday. So over the weekends or at night, as crypto trades 24/7, after hours and over the weekend, sometimes there's a gap between where they close and where the price reopens at. And in this case, there's a little bit of a belief that we tend to go back to those gaps because CME has those big money bags that need to get their gap filled. And so
there's actually a very lengthy explanation as to why that happens, but for all that you need to know right now, it's kind of like a traditional just area to be taking profit at, or if you want to be a little more cavalier, maybe even play a little bit of a short-term scalp to the downside. But we're not talking about that right now. Anyways, this is also being combined with momentum oscillators as well. We do see on the weekly over here, this is just a stochastic. It's just measuring essentially momentum. Very bad explanation of this right now, but we did see it cross to the upside for the first time, quite literally since March, April, actually, when Bitcoin was, of course, above 50,000 bucks, or actually around 60,000 bucks during that time. And not only that, but we're actually playing out a trend line here. Actually, it looks like, oh, no, it is right here. Yes, we are actually playing out a trend line test that is valid all the way back through September 2014, in fact. So I do like this area, at least for a bit of continuation. I do believe that Bitcoin probably tests up somewhere a little bit higher, about 49,000 bucks. And then I'd probably be looking for a bit of a pullback from that region, just dependent upon that. Now, the big question right now is where does the pullback come to, and how do you know where to get in? Well, of course, there's no such thing as crystal ball, unfortunately, but there are some areas of interest now that we do have this next move in progress here. Because this is your next daily low, or in this case, a higher low, we can use that as a basing point. And I would be saying that anywhere between about 41 and 42,000 bucks is fair game for that. If Bitcoin does start to come back down below there, then I would go back to what I was saying on one of my prior videos, where essentially I would be looking for Bitcoin to come back down a little bit further and fulfill this bottom side gap right here. For right now, though, I do look at this as a professional gap and very unlikely to get filled, especially with the way that Bitcoin's kind of pushed its way through here. It's looking pretty damn good thus far, especially when we look at altcoins like Ethereum, which I don't even know if you can call an alt anymore, but that one certainly does look like it wants to kind of lead or at least be one of the pole positions on this current rally. And I suspect that.
So hold on. So before we get too far away from this, that 33K area, which we've been talking about for a long time as a likely area to be returned to after we touch 45. You had drawn a very sophisticated swoop up to 45 and then down to the 30s. And so you had sort of put that line on the boards here, and you definitely fulfilled the first half of that. What you're saying is, given how powerful this price action is, you're seeing that the return to the 30s might not actually be warranted.
Yes, and there's going to be a very specific way to know this as well on the other side, actually. if you see any sort of a higher time frame closure, and when I talk about higher term time frame, I'm not saying like a 5-minute, hourly, 4-hour, for God's sake. I'm talking about a daily at the very minimum, preferably even something higher than that. If we got a weekly closure above $50,000, that to me would say, hey, there's probably gonna be some pullbacks into the mid, maybe even low $40,000 territory. But that I don't believe that will go even below $41,000 at that point. So again, at the very minimum, a daily above $50,000 on a closing basis, that is preferably something a little bit higher than that. That's going to add more confidence onto it. I'd still be looking for Bitcoin to kind of spend some time around the $50,000 to $60,000 territory if that were to happen. But until we get something like that, I still would say it's a little bit more likely that we do something somewhat like this, where we kind of grind it out, maybe even spend like a week or two kind of grinding this area out, and then perhaps come back down and set in a higher low, perhaps somewhere right around there. That will probably have to come back after that. But anywhere in the upper 30s to low 40s is kind of where I'd be looking for, maybe on a spike low. And that would be pretty damn good, because it would also confirm a higher low on the weekly as well, which is looking really damn good here too.
Wow.
In fact, not only that, but we do have one more meme to talk about, which actually did get confirmed since last we spoke, and that would be the weekly 21 exponential average, which is represented by this yellow line right here. I'm going to delete everything else that is not relevant to this conversation right now. And last week we did say that it had just grabbed onto it. Actually, this I guess was yes, it was last week. We just kind of grabbed onto it. We said yes, this is good, but what we really need to see is we need to see an open and closure above there plus a positive slope. We've actually got both of those two things confirmed as of last night, Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern time. And if you just want to look at the history of it, again, always make the decision for yourself, but be aware of the history of it.
It's pretty gorgeous.
Yeah, anytime Bitcoin's been above it and it has a positive slope on an open and closed basis, those have been your macro bull markets. Keeps you all the way long through here, tells you to let go of your positions right here, maybe even take a bit of a short, gets you long back around $5, ride it all the way to a 1200 right here. Same thing in 2014 to 2017, from about 300 to 20,000. And then more recently, we actually re-grabbed onto it at about $8,000 last May, and have read it ever since. And now once again regained alongside momentum, alongside volatility, and alongside, well, now trend as well. So this is looking pretty damn good to me. And I do suspect that while Bitcoin's, there's going to be some turbulent times, yes, obviously. This is extremely likely a macro low amongst other things.
Wow. Well, that's amazing to see. Time to YOLO and long our longs, it would seem. Again, do your own research, make your own decisions. Really, really, really incredibly powerful price action. And, obviously we've been busy here in NFT land for a while, keeping us satiated with the gains, but it'll be really nice to allocate, back to sort of macro fungibles, fungies, as I'm starting to call them, fungi's. And no, but anyway, that's not going to catch on. But anyway, so this is possibly the best outcome I could have imagined, probably better than you had imagined even a couple of days ago. What other coins? What other coins should we be looking at as Bitcoin sort of goes up only now to $1 million, right?
That's it, man. No pullbacks, no nothing, no bear talk ever allowed again.
Yeah,
of course not.
Selling
we are
is
joking
banned.
For anyone who's not aware.
Yeah, it's a joke, guys.
But it's kind of similar to last time too. So last time when I was on here, we did say Bitcoin at $45,000 is a relatively easy call, but Ethereum was actually the more obvious chart, and I still believe that it is. In fact, I would be very comfortable saying that Ethereum will retest all-time highs, sometime around early Q4, if this one thing happens, there's today. But we'll get into that in a second. I just want to follow up on some of our targets from there, right? So last week when we came on, I spoke about the weekly on Ethereum. I said that there are some pretty damn obvious calls right here. A couple of drives of hidden bullish divergence on weekly RSI. This one getting back into the bullish control zone, and that is relatively good. We hit our first technical target right around $3,000, 29 to 3,000, and now the second technical target for this one is going to be actually right around our last major daily breakdown point, between about 33 and 3,400 bucks right here. And that's at the point where I'd actually feel more comfortable saying that we probably see Bitcoin and Ethereum pull back. And this one's a little bit more obvious to myself as well. So anywhere around there, I actually would be having alerts, again, about 34 and some odd change, actually 34.50. You want to be super exact. But overall, this does look pretty damn good as well. And I do suspect that we will get one more drive here alongside Bitcoin. Both of them are still showing momentum to the upside. So while this rally is pretty damn extended and pretty crazy right now, no doubt about that, you do expect a rally like that coming after a massive consolidation on the lows, not really giving anyone a chance to kind of think about whether they want to get in or not, that's actually a very good sign. Yes, there will be another long-form consolidation as well, but this is what you want to see coming off your macro lows. And Ethereum's actually a little bit of a better chart right here actually as well. And and at some point Ethereum will come down, but I do expect that anywhere around 26 to 2700 is kind of what we'll be looking for on this one. Anyways,
and that would be 26, 27 would be a good like long term buy. So if say you wanted to accumulate more ETH, obviously I told you guys even when things were looking horrible, I was like, look, even though I think this is a bear market, I'm gonna start buying ETH because hey, look, these fundamentals are too crazy. But if you wanted to start YOLOing into ETH, you're saying maybe around that pullback to the high 2000s is a good place to look.
Correct. Yeah. And probably not going to happen this week or next week, but perhaps a little bit over time, maybe sometime around early September, if it is going to happen at all. Now, the big thing with Ethereum here, and this is why I think it's a little bit more of an obvious chart right here, is that if you're looking at the Bollinger Bands, which is pretty common indicator, you can use it in a plethora of ways, but one of the more interesting ways that I like to use it in is to understand when things are trending. And in this case right here, we are going to have a chance to close above the top side of the Bollinger Band for the first time in about 3-4 months, actually. And when you do that, typically it does insinuate, alongside a few other things, which we'll look at as well, or if we do have time, does essentially insinuate that we are going to continue with that trend. In this case over here, you can see the last result of this. We did regain the top side of it in November 2020, and that led you all the way up from the rally beginning at about $500 all the way up to our current all-time high of Ethereum, as to which it did fail below, consolidates at the 9-exponential average, and now trending once again. This is a really strong formation, actually. So technically speaking, you do want to wait, or if you're going by the book, you do want to wait until the end of the month to fully confirm this above the top side once again, which is currently situated about 31,000, or sorry, not 31,000, 3150 actually.
So what if it's too late by that point and all the ETH is gone?
Yeah.
What if all the ETH is gone by that point?
It's over. There's no givebacks as well.
So yeah, if we close above there, it looks like the last time we did that, and pretty much every time it has been a nonstop barrage of gains. Green candles. As we call them.
In layman's term, exactly. So if we do see this month closure above that, which, admittedly it's another, like 3 weeks away, so it's not anytime soon, then I'd feel very comfortable and confident saying that Ethereum will retest its all-time high probably early Q4 and very likely make new all-time highs before end of year. Where will those new all-time highs be? No idea. Probably your round even numbers, as they typically are. 5,000, 7,000, and 10,000 seem to be ones that this market likes. But overall, I would have a natural bullish bias and no real reason to be looking for any major, massive downtrends to sustain over time. Essentially, pullbacks are to be bought, and if that were to happen, and this looks very, very good right here. Again, anytime that you test the most shallow of the moving averages, this being a 9 exponential, that is actually very, very good, very, very constructive, and rather healthy for a consolidation in a very aggressive market as well. So all of this looks pretty damn good to me.
So essentially, Ethereum and Bitcoin both looking extremely, extremely healthy, which couldn't be better for the macro market. I guess the big question here is, do other charts share the same, as far as the stoplight approach, we're getting green lights here. As far as the simplified technical analysis here is things look really, really good, effectively, right, on the timeframes that matter. My question is this a chart, when we think about the other majors, sort of interesting coins, we talk about things like Polkadot, Cardano. Are these coins experiencing the same return to bullishness, or are they lagging behind?
Let's see. Let's look at Cardano right here. I got 148. Let's put it on a weekly. So it's definitely a bit of a laggard here, but it is holding up relatively well, and it actually held up probably one of the best for the general altcoin market right here. It did not make new weekly lows, while most things did. It actually held up incredibly well here, all things considered. This is pretty damn impressive. Anyways, Cardano hasn't really joined the party as much just yet, which is not the best sign, but technically speaking, you got a very similar setup here as you did on Ethereum just a week and a half ago, pretty much the last time that we spoke, actually. Same setup, basically. Hidden bullish evidence on the weekly RSI. Looks like it wants to test back above the exponential right there. If that can be reclaimed alongside my jewel right here, which if we do get any sort of a cyan signal, that's going to look really, really good for a very similar setup to Ethereum. First technical target would be back around about 160 to 165. And then above there, you'd be looking probably more north of like $2. And realistically, it'd just be continuation at that point as we do look at the monthly. And, it's not the most obvious chart of all time. It's not the most pretty chart of all time, but this is crypto after all. And, this actually would be okay.
So ADA looking like it could pull an ETH off in the next few days.
Yeah, very similar setup right there. And, same sort of, same sort of areas to be aware of too. 135, big area long term. If things do come back down, that's kind of where I'd be looking towards.
135 is a big buy, essentially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and again, I don't think that this is going to happen. I don't think this happens like this week or next week. Maybe later this month or early September. Same thing on Bitcoin. At some point, it will pull back, depending upon how high this current rally gets. That either may be 41 to 42,000 bucks for myself, or a little bit lower than that. If you start to fail below 38,000 bucks, that's where I start to look towards 33.5, and it is still viable. But again, the big thing is that I do believe that the lows are in. Anyways, you said DOT, I think Polka dot, yes, and then would love to just do a quick flash round here of some major alts. Polka dot being the one that I think has honestly gotten ignored and overlooked quite a bit as things have gone on. They had the kind of polka dot season a few months back, and then not as hype, but quietly they're actually releasing their functional tech now and are even at a later stage than Cardano. So very interested to see how the market responds to this, and is it technically looking as good as it is on a fundamental basis? It's a very interesting thing. It definitely did not follow as much in this prior rally. I mean, the really strong ones, they've actually been taking out their early June highs. This one would not fit the bill for that. However, it's very likely to follow here. Kind of similar to Cardano, this one, a bit of a laggard here, does have a decent setup, very likely does test back up somewhere around 24 and a half to $25. But you do have to be aware of this area right here. I imagine, however, just like pretty much always with altcoins, most altcoins at least, they're not all the same now, are they? But in general, most altcoins are going to kind of be tethered to whatever Bitcoin and Ethereum do. If Bitcoin and Ethereum show any sort of weakness, I expect that something like this is not going to do all that well. But as long as they're showing strength, I would essentially be looking somewhere back around here at about, let's just call it $25 over the next couple of weeks. It does have a pretty damn good move off the lows, but I don't like how it hasn't, essentially rallied in the same format that we've seen Bitcoin and Ethereum. It's kind of like, just as an aside and just as general market knowledge, the market typically works in, how do I explain this? In rotations. Yes, that's how we kind of think of this. And the strongest ones, they lead those major rallies. So the first ones to rally, and they rally the hardest, and they go for the longest. And once they start to die down, then you get the next tier, and then the next tier, and then the next tier, until you get into the meme coins, which is usually a sign that the end times are near. You'll know this very likely intuitively, because a lot of the meme coins, or not even meme coins, but just the garbage that was rallying in March, they were pretty much rallying for just actually a few weeks, if that. Even like the very bad ones were just rallying for like a few days. There were astronomical gains, no doubt about that. In about what was it, April, March or something. But Bitcoin had been basically vertical for the year prior, and they were barely following. I mean, Bitcoin went straight up from March 2020 to basically March 2021 for a year. And most altcoins were basically going sideways and barely joining in. So just, as an aside right there. Anyways, we can look at a few more.
I think the big thing is we had the layer ones, the L ones like, Polygon and Solana and BSC really took off as the noobs flooded in and they wanted lower fees. And the L1 narrative is like the ETH killer narrative always really appeals to this sort of broad audience of why don't you just make Ethereum faster is really just an obvious question that I think everybody wants to say, okay, well, let's just quickly allocate to these other coins. So yeah, I'd expect that as the market gets healthier and more retail interest flows in, you start seeing things like Polkadot, Cardano, and those things take a center stage once again. And then finally, I'd like to see Axie Infinity, AXS, and because that's kind of like the barometer for the gaming market right now. And
I'm very familiar with this one.
Yeah. How does it look on a technical
Excellent
level?
chart. Best one by far.
Yep.
there's there's no targets to give on some, like, I mean, the best I can do is maybe pull up an extension here, and even that's not going to be great. But
I think astrology is the way to do this one.
That's right, man. Tea and astrology go hand in hand, as you know. It does have a few upside targets somewhere around about 69 to oh my god, basically 90. Oh, no. Great number right there too. Wouldn't be surprised to see this thing tag $100 in the next month or two. I mean, this is not bad at all. Very high consolidation right here. It does kind of leave a few questions to be asked, but you do have a natural base right around about $36. I'd essentially interpret this as a very healthy consolidation. It is an uptrend. It's a very aggressive uptrend, yes, but do we see any signs of slowdown here?
Well, their user growth is crazy, right? So they keep adding users like crazy, and that's creating more demand.
I was looking for signs of slowdown here. I'm not seeing that at all. If anything, hidden bullish evidence on daily Jewel up, so momentum turning up as well, and volatility is on the floor during this consolidation. So this is very likely a very healthy consolidation, and yeah, I probably would be looking north in the next month or two to come. Very impressive chart. Very, very impressive chart. So yeah,
and this is going to lead, in my opinion, for everyone out there. I think Axie leads the entire gaming NFT space, right? When you're talking about any projects involved with gaming and NFTs, they will bull and they will sort of go and follow in the footsteps of Axie. Maybe not quite as significantly, but it's kind of bullish for the whole sector is what we've seen. And so that's a really good, healthy indicator if you guys are looking for exposure, understanding that as Axie breaks out and it looks like it wants to over the next few weeks, it's going to be good for that entire sector. Well, that's it for me, man. Once again, I thank you so much. This has been a fantastic episode. I hope everyone out there has learned as much as I did here. Just on the spotlight, the traffic light scenario here, we have big green light here on Bitcoin, meaning that the macro low has been put in, at least on a daily time frame, and 30s is probably the best we'll get as far as pullbacks. Ethereum looking insanely bullish. The best thing we could hope for is a high 2000s pullback for a long-term buy. And it seems like the gaming sector is primed for another leg up as well. Thank you so much, man. We really appreciate having you on. Any final words of wisdom as we are here in August of 2021?
Yeah, of course. I mean, this is a very exciting time, obviously, and things are pretty much going straight up in a line right now, and things will pull back at some time. So if you are feeling a little bit FOMO, feeling a little bit left out, understand, the market doesn't happen in one day. Understand, you're probably going to see a few things happen in the deep 40s, as we did speak about. But until we actually do get one of those higher term time frame closures above $50,000, I would still be looking at that area as kind of fraught with peril. Wouldn't be surprised to see it kind of grind it out for like a week or two, and then perhaps give you some entries a little bit lower, and we'll probably come back for that as well. But other than that, man, it's been an absolute pleasure. I hope everyone stays safe out there, and enjoy the fun, because it's been about 3.5 months of not so much fun. So there we go, man. There we go. It's
tough conversations about the family finances, but it's about to become. It's about. Hopefully, we get back to it's not
smiles on people's faces again. That's I like that. People are happy once again. You can feel it on Twitter. There's no more cat fighting going on. It's good.
It's got to be nice to get back to it's not real until it's in the bank season, which is the season we were in before. And that's a good note to remind everyone, take profits on the way up. Be safe, because you're definitely going to want dry powder in case there is yet another manipulated downside. And once again, thank you so much, Eric. We hope to have you back very soon.
My pleasure, man. My pleasure as always.
Cheers, buddy. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed that. If you did, make sure to destroy that like button and follow Eric on both YouTube and Twitter. I have his socials linked in the description below. He does amazing daily content, keeping you ahead of the game as far as price action, and we owe him a big, big thank you for his contributions here. Again, if you want more content like this, make sure you subscribe, put that bell notification on. We're coming out with daily, multiple times a day content to keep you up to date and ahead of the market. As always, I'm Elio Trades. You can find me on Twitter at Elio Trades. The link is in the description, and I will see you very soon on the next episode.